Bhakti Siddhanta series, so far we have been just in touch with two books. One book that by the grace of Gurudev that I'm writing is almost complete. This has two parts: questions and then after that philosophy. So we covered just 4 questions so far on the book, and the other one is Vaishnava Siddhanta Mala. So this is actually from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this also has questions and answers. So that's what we are actually planning to do for today. So here, chapter 1 we already covered. That was 2 weeks back. So today we are getting into the chapter 2 of this wonderful book. And this chapter 2 is saying Bhagavan alone is the supreme truth. So the question, it starts with the questions. Who is Bhagavan, the supreme person? In fact, a few weeks back we just touched on it, but this is really adding more to that. So the answer is Bhagavan, who is God, is he who manifests all the individual jivas, souls, and all inert matter by dint of his own inconceivable potency is called Achintya Sakti. And then, what he also, this is his Srishti Leela. So then what he does is, he also enters into whatever that he has created. And he enters in every atom, or in the jada, in the matter, and also he enters into the heart of every jiva. It's amazing. It is like spider is really, like from itself, right? It is really making the web, and then it also enters into the web. Something like that. So he enters within them as the supreme controller. Ishvara Swarupa. He also transcends all souls and matter in his form as Krishna. As such, he is far beyond the reach of material intelligence. That's what today we will be probably talking more on that. So it is he who manifests his own divine, completely spiritual form composed of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Such Chit Anand. So now Lord, the Bhagavan, is having this Sachidananda Swarupa. And because the Jiva, we also came from him, we also have this. But he has complete, we have little. So now by dint of his supreme potency, that is called Parasakti, all these things are actually taking place. So he is the object of devotion for every individual soul. So he is the object of devotion for every individual soul. Why there is a devotion that has to come? The devotion and the Anand is related. You cannot separate. Devotion is the only way to get Anand. So that is why now Radharani is a Haladini Sakti. Means what? He is Sakti of Anand. He is the one who gives complete Anand. And by her mercy only, the jivas really have these kind of, the enjoying, this Anand Swarupa is coming from her mercy only. So the whole Leela, if you see, because Bhagavan is always there. Bhagavan, he could have probably chosen to just sitting idle and then just enjoying himself. But that's not he really wanted to do. He wanted to do this Srishti Leela. By that, he not only himself and also his parts, parts and particles which we are jivas, we also enjoy. And the beauty is, we enjoy more than he himself. This is amazing truth about the spiritual dimension. The spiritual is very, very amazing. Okay. Now, what did we really see here now? Look at the picture. Now, if you see the picture, it says, right, Bhagavan is on the top, and on the left side we have souls, jivas, and then the right side is matter. So Bhagavan, soul and jada. So in the Srishti Leela, it is not only these all the universes. Actually, Srishti Leela, the jivas are also part of it. Because we are all also coming from him, and coming through from this Tadastha Sakti. All right? So who is Bhagavan? Bhagavan is, because if we see, every religion is really talking about God. Every religion is talking about God. But they do not have enough knowledge to know about the complete picture, complete information about Bhagavan is not possible. It's not possible for them to understand. For example, Jesus Christ said, I am the Son and my Father is in the heaven. But then so then if we really try to really go through this Bible, and you can ask so many priests if you want, but there is no information. Where is his father? How does he look like? So this is where the problem is coming. So, and also Bible says that, and the God created men in his own image, which now we are understanding. Even though there are a lot of people are saying, though God has no form, that's not true. Why can't God, why God cannot have a form? He's a less, less powerful entity? No. Why he cannot have form? He can have everything. So he can be form is a spiritual form, and also he can really take whatever the form he really wants. And yes, he can have, and also he can be formless too, like a light. But the thing is, all the religions are really so stuck in something which really some prophet, he really told only the partial knowledge. That's what I'm talking about. Partial knowledge only. With that, they become fanatics. This is where the whole problem is coming into. For example, Muslims say, even in a different way. Actually, Prophet Muhammad was not successful in the beginning. Then he brought the Christianity also, and he added all those. That's what now all the thing we are finding about. And there it says, Muhammad said, I am only a prophet. Then who is God? Yes, his name is Allah, or Allah means Almighty. Oh, the most powerful and most superior, this everything. But that does not give a complete picture. It's only giving some vague picture. How does he look like? There is nothing. They say there is no form. So understanding Bhagavan is possible only by the mercy of Bhagavan. That's what we read from Bhagavad Gita. If Bhagavan is not giving us the mercy to understand about himself, we have no way of seeing. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, we really see that Arjuna was given the power to see him. So then Lord Krishna gave the power to see him. That is what we see, that one big chapter is about Vishwarupa Darshanam. So, this question as who is Bhagavan is not easy to explain and not easy to understand. It has to be realized by the mercy of Bhagavan himself. This is very, very important. And most people in the world also think that Krishna is an avatar. Yes, that's also another kind of perspective. Because everybody is in having a different angle of view towards Bhagavan. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained that even this Vishnu Purana is only just a step for you. He can, of course, Bhagavan, if he can enter into every atom, every, the heart of every jiva, why can't he really enter, come through the Vishnu? He is Vishnu is his expansion. Why not? That's not a problem. But the truth is beyond that. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. Even though he is actually coming, Bhagavan, Swayam Bhagavan, Krishna is really coming down. But he has to come to the Brahmanda through this door. The door is actually this Vishnu. Vishnu is the one who is maintaining, holding it. So he has to come through that. That does not mean just because he is coming through, oh, he is the avatar of Vishnu. No, that is the problem is, that's all the understanding some people have. No, but because as per the Sandarbhas by Srila Jiva Goswami, yeah, Sandarbhas are right there. So if you see that, clearly saying that, how exactly the whole mechanism is, how people one way can understand this way, and the real understanding is way higher than. That is possible only by the mercy of Lord Himself. Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these are all the very, very superior Bhakti Shastras. All of these say the very same truth, firmly, that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Everything says. So Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin. And he is the prime cause of all causes. And also we see in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Well, what are you saying that? 10th chapter he's saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate idi matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise persons who perfectly know this, what will you do? What will you do? A person who has really known this truth and he's realized it, what will be his behavior? That's what he's talking about. Iti matva bhajante mam. So one who has perfectly know this will do only one thing. 100% he will engage only in my devotional service and worship me how? With all his heart. Because he says, if one has the right knowledge from me, that given by me, if he knows that, only thing he will do is 100% he will do only devotion to me. But that means, look at the persons who are not devotional means what? They do not know about Bhagavan. This is exactly the conclusion. Right from every sloka, if you go deeper and deeper, this is what you will find. And Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam also states the same truth about Krishna. Again and again. Krishna is the Supreme Lord Himself. It is the first 9 cantos say they, oh, Lord Vishnu is high, Lord Narayana is high, because you are elevating higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And finally, when you come out saying, no, all the things, whatever that we had to discuss so far was to prepare you to become a devotee, higher and higher and devotee. Every canto is talking about higher and higher devotees. So first Lord Vishnu is high, then Lord Narayana is high. Like that it goes on, and finally, when it comes to 10th, that is what the thing is really talking about. The Sammam Bonam is Yete Chamsa Kala Pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So Lord Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna said, another thing also, you may be able to count all the atoms in all my creations. Look at here, we cannot follow. You take only just a palmful of sand from this earth and try to count. I did a calculation. Because a mole contains, remember the hypothesis, what the Avogadro's hypothesis or something, this many, molecules are there like that, right? So he's saying that. He's saying, Krishna is saying, you can count all the atoms in all my creation, but we don't have to go through all the way. Just to take this earth. In that earth also you take only little bit, only this many grams, maybe 15 grams or something, the sand, whatever that, the mole, 1 mole only, just little bit. And how many atoms are there? Avogadro number. All right, let us try to count that there. And my calculation, I don't want to really put these things here. I did a calculation. The calculation, to count those, just a little bit, this much. You have to employ entire population in this world, and everybody who is counting the atom, they have to be born 35 billion times. They will be born again and again and again, keep on counting and counting to count only the 1 mole. 1 mole means that Avogadro number. Forget about counting even a handful. And he's saying, Bhagavan is saying, oh, you can count every atoms, but you cannot find me. You cannot understand me. You will never be able to know about me, or my names, or my glories. At the same time, I can give wisdom to my dear devotees. What excel the dear devotee means? Who surrenders to me. So knowing the Supreme Lord and the truth is not easy. This is why Lord Krishna says this again in Bhagavad Gita. Arey, I am coming and going and coming and going, so many leelas I am doing. But I like, when I appear in this world in human form, fools will not know my real supreme position, that I am the God of all the gods. Avajanandi muamam muda manushim tanumashritam parambhavam ajanando mama bhuta maheshwaram. See, how can you just take that example, for example, the thing I gave. He says you can count all the atoms, but you cannot find me. You cannot know me. You have no way of knowing me unless I am really giving the power to know me. And that he says, only my devotee I will give the power. That is why he is living in the heart of the devotees. See how high he is? So we just read that in that reading, right? So we were just touching only very little part of it, isn't it? Who is Bhagavan? The Supreme Person. But we have only one paragraph. But talking about Bhagavan is not just one paragraph. It is your life. Because it is Ananta. And here in this world, remember those days and all, remember the newspapers, the kind of newspapers, the Sunday, they used to put like this big, My God, it's big. If you see the New York Times and all those things and the Washington Post and all those, what are they talking about? They're talking about this mundane world, which is nothing. And if this world, in fact, this world itself is having that much things to talk about, look at the spiritual dimension, how many things that we will have to talk about. That is what the devotees only engage in the devotion only, devotion to only him. That is the unique, not only power, we are talking about all the Satchidananda Swarupa, and also he is more powerful, that is coming in as the next question and so on. So, but that is too secondary. But it is unlimited ocean of bliss and knowledge and so many things there about related to Bhagavan. That's why he said, yes, those who understand will engage only in devotion to me. All right? Now we'll move to the next question. What is Shakti? Our potency, Bhagavan, because we just mentioned about, right? What is Shakti? So, what is Shakti of Bhagavan? So, coming to this, we have way more to go into, but just summarizing, because we have covered these in the other classes, I am only summarizing. To understand more about us, the jivas, and our real nature, we have to start from our very source, that is Lord Krishna. We also have power. Let us spend few minutes on this important tattva. Lord Krishna has three kinds of energies. That is all in the question saying what is this Shakti about. There are three kinds of Shaktis. Shakti means power, energy, internal, right? One is Swarupa Shakti. Swarupa Shakti means his own internal energy. It's intrinsic to himself. And then let us talk about the Maya Shakti, the third one. Maya Shakti is the inert materials and material worlds and creations, and remember galaxies and clusters, super clusters and all those things and all part of his creation Leela, that is coming from his Maya Shakti, all called Jada Shakti. We see so many, but the thing is it does not have any consciousness. But in between, there the middle is the Jiva Shakti. So because it is not as powerful as the Swarupa Shakti, we are Jiva Shakti. We have energy. This energy we are all came from Krishna only, but it is not with his full power. That's why. So the Swarupa Shakti is the most powerful because it is his intrinsic energy. All the expansions, avatars, like Vishnu, Shiva, all the expansions, they're all coming in the Swarupa Shakti. But the Jivas are the ones in between. Why? Because they're all not, they are insignificant in terms of the power. So Krishna is like mountain, unlimited mountain, and Jiva is like just a small dust. That's all it is. And Maya Shakti is no consciousness. So Bhagavan is fully conscious, and because Jiva also came from him, also we have conscious, but Jada Shakti, no consciousness. And now, if we see how big the Jivas is, the Vedic scripture says that you really take the tip of the hair and divide that into 1,000 parts or 10,000 something, some amount parts. Then you take one part of it, and again cut into this, 1,000 or 10,000 parts. I really take that one. That is the size of this Jiva. What that means is, it doesn't mean that it is material. It's trying to tell us that we cannot find. It is very insignificant compared to the massive energy of the Lord, Bhagavan. Because Jiva is not material. Because if you say, okay, all right, 10,000 by 10,000, okay, 10 to the power of 8, all right. Now I am going to come with the special equipment to really see that, because, right, you see web telescope, so many things are there, it is zooming so much. Why can't we do that and see the Jiva? It's not possible. So that's not the idea of this particular, scripture talking about. What it's saying is, it is so small that we cannot really see. And another one is, it is spiritual. And now we and Krishna, see, the Krishna is also taking expansion, as I said. That is his internal Swarupa, right? That is Swamsa. It's called Swamsa. That's what we talked about Balaram, Mula Sangarshana, Maha Sangarshana, Maha Vishnu, Garbhodai Vishnu, and Kshirakadai Vishnu. So like that, he takes his own expansions. And then also from them comes again Jivas. That's called Vibhinnamsa expansion, separatory expansions. This is what we are talking about, this Jiva Shakti. So the left side you are saying Swamsa is their internal expansion, and the Vibhinnamsa, what you are saying is Jiva expansion is coming from. Now, where do they come from? Not directly from Krishna. We may think that by looking at the picture I showed you, oh, we are coming directly from Krishna. Not like that. Jivas are coming from different expansions. The Swamsa expansions of Krishna. From Baladev, because remember, first he divides into what? Balaram and Radharani. So from Baladev comes associates of Goloka. That Jivas will straight away go to Goloka. See the arrow there I am putting. And then after that, from Baladeva, again first quarter expansion, Mula Shankarshana comes associates, that Jivas will go to Madhura and Dwaraka. And then Mahashankarshana, okay, that is the second quadruple expansion, in fact third expansion if you see here, and that though goes straight away to Vaikuntha. Then Mahavishnu is the one who is in between, floating. That is what the Tadastha region that we are talking about, intermediate, Tadastha. These Jivas are the ones who really get into these material worlds and who upon liberation will go back. Vaikuntha or above. That is up to them, up to the nature, their nature. So the Mahavishnu, though Jivas coming from Mahavishnu has two options. Why? Because he is floating in between spiritual world and the material world. So the Jivas will have two options to do. So one is to look up and go up to the spiritual dimension, or look down and then look at the, and then come down there. So this is where, unfortunately, some Jivas like who are in this earth as Bhatta Jivas, they look down to enjoy. This is the problem. Now we are working on. That is not the problem. So now the next question is coming again. Okay, now let us go back and then back to the reading. Okay. Also we just go through what is Sakti. So what is Sakti or potency of Bhagavan? So we are unable to factually describe the Lord's potency because his Saktis are unlimited. Like Bhagavan has no limit, his Saktis are also no limit. But one question comes there. Can we see, are they separate? Bhagavan separate and then the Sakti separate? No. How can you really separate the heat out of the fire? Fire, there's the quality of fire. So we cannot separate that. So his Saktis are unlimited, whereas we have limitation. We have limitation. How is that? Suppose, okay, so the example typically that I used to explain is, suppose you have a huge fire, big fire, and the sparks are coming out and here and there, When the forest fires are there, you won't believe how wild it goes. And take a small fragments, this thing that comes out, and you are just standing there. It just lands on your shirt. What will that do? It will put a hole. It will burn it, and then it will die. The power is gone. But whereas if it really happens to be directly touching that big fire, we will be burned. Like as if going to the sun and then finished. So we are very small, anuchit. But Bhagavan his Sakti is unlimited. So that is why he says, whereas we have limitations. It is for this reason his potency is called Parasakti, because para means, para, apara. Material jada things are called apara. Para means eternal, apara means not eternal. So that is why our here, all the material worlds, everything, they are all apara. That is why this Jada Sakti, Maya Sakti is also called apara Sakti. But para Sakti means unlimited. When you put a it becomes negative. Right? So literally, Parasakti means the supreme potency. What is completely impossible for us is easily performed by this potency of the Lord. This ability or power of Bhagavan to perform that which is impossible is called Gatana Pati Asi Sakti. Gatana Pati Asi Sakti. So what that really literally means, we may think how this can be done. It is impossible. But by his energy, there is nothing impossible. That is basically what that verb means. So here in this world there may be contradictions, but there is all whether contradictions or whatever the characteristic that among the jivas can coexist. What I am saying is, suppose on this earth, suppose somebody is saying, you just get out. Because his mood is different, my mood is different, so he just get out. So here we have to separate then, because the mood is different. But there in the spiritual dimension, it's not. There all the moods can exist. In fact, the Lord Bhagavan wants us to have these kind of various moods. For example, Radharani and all the Sakhis of Radharani, they are in with one mood. And then we also have the counterpart, in the sense they are kind of an enemy kind of, okay? Chandravali and their group. So they are actually opposite. But there, even though, we may think that, they must be fighting, but there, eternally they are peaceful there. It can exist there. This is very difficult to understand for us. Okay? Anyway, that's what goes there. But anyway, now the next question is coming. Is Bhagavan subordinate to this Shakti? No. It is not that Bhagavan is one entity and his Shakti is another separate entity, as I talked about that. It's like you cannot separate the heat from the fire. Okay. Just as the burning power of fire is inseparable from the fire, similarly, Bhagavan's Shakti is inseparable from him. And, okay, so now let me see. Okay, then the next question is coming. Then in that case, why Bhagavan, if Bhagavan is the one and only supreme truth, then why did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give his followers instructions about Sri Krishna and his Shakti or potency? Because, yes, we are talking about that. In fact, we are the worshipper of Lord of Radharani. So why? Because if you really see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he has come to give the highest bhava. That is Mahabhava, which Radharani has. And the eternal Swarupa of the Jiva is to be a loving servant to Bhagavan. And who is really the loving servant of the Bhagavan? Number one is Radharani. This is what is coming true, that Mahaprabhu actually has come to give this to us. So why he is actually talking about all his Shaktis and all the potency? Because we are taking shelter under the Shakti. Even if you try to go to Bhagavan straight away, he is going to take and then give under the custody of Radharani only. Because he is an enjoyer. He just, you keep on serving. He is not going to maintaining all the department is only Radharani has to do that. So, but anyway, all right. So the answer is now more interesting, in fact. Bhagavan has 6 eternal qualities. He possesses all opulences. Okay, that's what I'm showing in the slide also. Aishwarya, that is opulences. Virya, strength. Yasya, that is, there's a spelling mistake here. Yasya, that is fame. And beauty, that is Sri. Knowledge, that is Jnana. And renunciation, Vairagya. So these 6 qualities, actually it is available to some extent in the jivas also. But he possesses all opulences in fullest extent. So that is That is so these qualities are associated with Bhagavan, and because we came from Bhagavan through those expansions I already mentioned about the jivas coming from different expansions of Krishna, we also have a little bit of all these things there. Isn't it? Right? We have some, we say yes, becoming rich, one can become rich, one can be strong, of course. That is the limitation. One can become fame, and also, yes, so people have beauty, and also, yes, knowledge, and also vairagya. Vairagya means here, what the vairagya means? Vairagya means determination to do spiritual activities. That's what vairagya is. Okay? So, anyway, the various forms of the Lord manifest according to the degree to which these specific qualities are expressed. For example, when his quality of great opulence is prominently manifest, then he is called Lord. He is called the Lord of the spiritual sky, Narayana, Lord Narayana. When the opulence is to the fullest extent, he wants to really manifest to really reciprocate with the jivas. That is Vaikunta. So, and when his quality of nectarian sweetness predominates, then he comes as Vrindavana Chandra. That is his original. So his originally is sweetness. Sweetness, this is Madhurya. So Madhurya is the topmost quality that we'll see that. See, that only Krishna has. Because Rupa Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, then Venu Madhuri, and the Venu Madhuri, Prema Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, like these four Madhuris are only Bhagavan has. Bhagavan Krishna has that. He is the moon of Sri Vrindavana, Sri Krishna. Therefore, Sri Krishna alone is the topmost manifestation of Bhagavan. Actually, you have to be very careful. That means Bhagavan is different and Sri Krishna is different or something? No. Manifestation, as we understand, this Bhagavan, Sri Krishna is the Bhagavan. Why that then talking about manifestation? When Madhurya is coming in, they do not want to have the feeling that Krishna is opulent. Then it gives distance. That is why when we talk about Sri Krishna, it is a manifestation of the Bhagavan. He is Bhagavan. But the manifestation in the sense, we are not looking at him as Narayana. That is why the word is very, very purposely put that. So Bhagavan is different, Krishna is different. No, that's not what we are talking about. But the way that we understand and we worship Krishna, the way how that we perceive is Madhurya, in love and affection. Topmost, especially these four Madhuris. Now that is Sri Krishna. So what that means is, Bhagavan has so many names and so many manifestations as we see. But Sri Krishna, as we perceive, he is the sweetness personified, along with Radharani. Okay, he is Sakti. This is why it's deeper. Yeah, right? And okay, let us proceed now. There are a lot of questions. I don't know how many questions we will be able to do today. We'll see. How many forms does the Lord have? How many forms does the Lord have? So people may think, oh, he has unlimited. Yeah, it's very, very, very intricate. Why? Because actually he has only one form. That form is fully spiritual. So that means this answer straight away throws out that logic that people are bringing that Bhagavan has no form. Is out of the question. Because they cannot understand what is spiritual dimension and what is material dimension. This is where they are stuck. They assume that, we have form, we have this one, God we cannot see. Yeah, okay. So that means God has no form. But the reality is God has spiritual form. It is supremely beautiful and all attractive to all. That is why he is called Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. So just because some religions or the prophets or those who cannot really perceive the spiritual dimension, they are thinking, oh, we are not seeing God. That means God has no form like. So what that means is, he does not have a form like us. He has a spiritual form. So then they said, oh, no, we are really worshipping as deities and all the things. Remember this, especially the Muslims, they will really attack so many temples. That is going on even in India also, Bangladesh. So many problems they are creating. Saying, well, if God is formless, then why are you really doing like this? And these are all sinful, they say. But sinful means only for those who worship with fear. So anyone who has the mood of worshipping Bhagavan as with fear, you cannot worship in Vigraha form. I told about some examples also before. No, it's prohibited. That is why they are saying. That means you are not qualified. So we have to think about how I can be qualified should be the question. Rather than, oh, I have the inclination to worship the Lord, God as with fear. That means you should also have fear. This is ridiculous and nonsense. That is your mood. And you are not really, qualified at all to worship the Lord with love and affection. And you are thinking that you are a criminal and you are actually, worshipping 5 times a day or something like that, whatever the number of times you want to worship, just to avoid going to hell and then going to heaven and then try to enjoy there with so many. Anyway, I don't want to get into that one. So they are saying that, if you really worship like that, you will get so many virgins there and all kinds of things. This is nonsense what they are talking about. Okay, so it's very important. So we are, orienting ourselves only with love and affection with that spiritual form. That is Krishna, which we cannot directly perceive. But when we develop this love and affection more and more, you can see him face to face. That so many devotees have really done it. We are just following their footsteps. So you have to understand. So different moods, worshipping moods will give different manifestation for them to really worship us. So he has only one form, which is spiritual form. And that form is fully spiritual, extremely beautiful and attractive to all. It is overflowing with divine bliss. Always engaged in activities. It's not like, okay, why are you going to heaven and then, just sit in front of Allah or whoever you wants to call and then sit there. What are you going to do there? Nothing. Nothing they will be talking about because they are only with the fear. That's the only thing they will be teaching. Beating fear. But what are you going to do there? You are going to just sit and then just looking at his beard or something? How long you will be doing? You will be bored. Then finally you will come to the conclusion, I don't want to be in heaven, I want to get out from here. I am sick of seeing again and again. But this is different. This Lord Krishna performs leelas. This is overflowing divine bliss. Every moment is having what they call varieties, full of varieties. Full of all the leelas of so much varieties. And these leelas and all the activities can be perceived only by pure love. That is prema. Yes, now that statement is coming. Oh, I didn't realize that is coming here. I already expanded this. According to the different natures possessed by different souls, the Lord's eternal form manifests to them in an infinite number of ways. See, this you have to understand now. Why they are worshipping like this out of fear? They are even killing others, saying, oh no, you should not worship his Vigraha. But whereas Krishna is saying, Krishna has given his own Vigraha. We were talking about this Banke Bihari, not only Banke Bihari, so many Vigrahas. They are all given by Lord himself, manifest and then give. So that is why he said, Sachidananda Vigraha. So you can worship him as Vigraha as well. But only with love and affection. So now this particular statement is really so depth. That's what I was starting to mention. It's the mood that makes a big difference, whether you are qualified to worship a deity or not. We know that. You cannot worship a deity unless you are taken Diksha. Because if you have not surrendered to a guru, you cannot really, you cannot do deity worship, period. And if you are worshipping something else without taking Diksha, you are worshipping an idol, which is not correct, which is not good. We should never worship idols. Okay, so now this is clearly coming there. Okay. However, the individual souls, according to their particular nature, accept these many different manifestations of the Lord as separate individual forms. That is why you have forms and names. So many forms he can take. So many names are attached with. Allah, Jagadisha, Jagova, like these coming because of these different moods. So our mood is loving mood. Loving mood is always what? You give yourself. You are not asking for anything. Please do not throw me in hell. Give me so much of this, so much of that. I want this. No. This is why your mood is different. So the nama and the form that you have been given by those prophets to worship, they are different. They think different. But always remember, in Jaiva also this comes. All these religions are, even though they are cheating, as Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, these are all cheating religions because we expect something from the Lord. Now, instead of giving our love and everything to Him, so in a way that is cheating, but it is also kind of steps towards the ultimate goal. So these souls will evolve one after another. After life. And eventually, all the jivas, because they all came from Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, in a way, they will eventually take their position to serve eternally, to satisfying that rule saying, Jivera Swarupahaya Krishnera Nityadasa. So that will happen. So these religions eventually they will be going. It's like a first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. Then you are going high and high and high. Just because somebody is saying, somebody in the first grade is saying, oh, why are you learning multiplications and everything? No, that is sinful. Don't do that. We can do only plus and minus. That is what these other terrorists are trying to do. Tell us. They are not advanced. So important thing here is only when we have loving relation, you can be part of the Leelas of Bhagavan. Part of the you if you have to enter into the Leela, you have to have this. This is why Vaikunta, why that not? Because Vaikunta you are enjoying. Oh, big planes, this once in a while you go and then meet, to really worship Lord Narayana. Like you are doing, Balaji temple, what you do? Your birthday you will go, and the New Year day you will go, do some puja and something like that only you will be doing there also. You are not participating in the Leela. There is no Leela there. What Leela is there? Bhagavan is always sleeping or looking at this. There is no Leela there. Only you are enjoying. Only, your Leelas are there. But Goloka is different. Oh, everyone is all the time Leelas. They forget about their selfishness. There is nothing like selfishness there. It's only give to Krishna. So only make Krishna happy, Krishna happy, Krishna happy. This is what is that all the Leelas that we are all, hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam and here and there, it's all about this only. Only when you get that level of bhakti, prema bhakti, you can get into the Leela. All right. Now, what are Sri Krishna's pastimes or Leelas? Okay, so that in the picture that I am talking about is showing about, look at here. So many, even this, all the avatars coming, they're also Leelas only. Forms and Leelas, right? Forms, but their Leelas are limited. Vrindavan Leelas are the topmost. Goloka Vrindavan, those Leelas are the topmost. But all the other Leelas are, it has its own levels. But now here the question is, what are Sri Krishna's pastimes or Leelas? Of course, there are innumerable. In fact, the Shastras say that Bhagavan Krishna and his dear devotees, they are all performing so much of Leela in so many planets and so many planets that is going on. And Adisesha, who is really having millions of tongues, he is like a channel. He has opened some YouTube channel. Okay. Every tongue is like a YouTube channel. So he's transmitting about the different Leelas happening in different places. He's not able to cope up with the Leelas that Krishna is performing. And what are those Leelas? We see only few of them. Because Srimad Bhagavatam was really given to us was only with 7 days. That's it, the narrator. That's all the things we got. We didn't get everything. It's only 18,000 slokas. And that itself is nectar. But look at those Bhagavatam's manifestations in the different dimensions. All of the Janaloka, Tapaloka, all the lokas and also all the Brahmaloka, they are all different. For example, the Srimad Bhagavatam that we have, you multiply that by 112 times, that is the amount of pastimes that Lord Brahma, those citizens, those residents, they know about. That much, look at here. That. And now, this is only our Brahmanda. What about other Brahmandas? So many innumerable Brahmandas. What about them? We have no idea. This is why he was saying, you can count even the number of atoms in all my entire manifestations. But you cannot know me. You cannot know me, my Leelas, my Nama, glories. You cannot. Because it is not possible something that by ourselves we can know this. It's not, no. This is not that do it yourself and then, get some book and read it. No. Only by the mercy of the Lord, we can get it. We can enter into that. We see the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like, see, here he came as how a devotee should be. So how was he behaving? All of a sudden, he'll be chanting and chanting, or he just enters into the Leela and he collapses. He enters into the Leela. That is how the Upadeshamrita came. He was walking on the beach of the Jagannath Puri. And then all of a sudden he really saw these all the sand dunes. Oh, he thought that's a Govardhan. And also all the forests there, all the areas, he thought, oh, that is the Vrindavan forest. And he was running, and finally, boom, he entered into the pastime that is always going on. Because these 5,000 years ago, whatever the pastime that we have heard, is only a small window that opened for us. But it is eternally going on. So whatever that we are seeing is called Prakat Leela. Prakat means something that we can witness. We can see. Only those who are eligible. And the others going on. So the window closed. 5,000 years ago, done. Okay, so the Leelas are very, 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 very important. That is associated with the Prema Bhakti. Okay, so answer is, the most charming portion of the spiritual world is called Sri Vrindavana. There, Sri Krishna, who is composed of eternality, knowledge and bliss, is eternally present in the divine, in the form of the divine couple, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, for the purpose of performing eternal pastimes. When the individual Jiva souls manifest their eternal forms of divine bliss or their eternal Swarupa in the form of Srimati Radharani's maid servants, this is called Radha Dasyam. Not every guru can give this. This is highest we are talking about. Array, people are talking about how they can even make it to Vaikunta, big problem. But our Gurudev came to give this, Radha Dasyam. And this is what all our acharyas are also talking about. And this is what we are just touching on that. Radha Dasyam. Then they attain the qualification for entering Sri Krishna's eternal pastimes within the all spiritual abode of Sri Vrindavana. Srimati Radhika is the very personification of supreme bliss, which I have talked about that. This Ananda Maya is what? Haladini. Haladini Sakti means, yes, the divine potency which is full of Anand. That is why her only job, this duty is to make Krishna happy. And because we are all actually getting her mercy, the Jivas really possess that kind of quality to really make Krishna happy. That is our eternal Swarupa, is not to make ourselves happy, to make Krishna happy. That is the real happiness. That's what Radharani does. So that is exactly maid servants or Radharani is all talking about. In their pastimes. So Leelas are very, very important. Not like this dumb, what is that, the Vaikunda or some heavens of these, this Lord, this religion, that religion, taking from. No, that is not the one that our acharyas have come to give. Otherwise, Mahavishnu could have given there, Vishnu can give that. But why should Lord Krishna has to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And those descendants, those Guru Mahatmas, why they are coming? Is only to give this rare, but not for everybody. Not for everybody, because they are not qualified. So it's the pastimes, the Leelas are very, very important. The only assistant of these activities of the Lord or Leela is the only assistant of these activities of the Lord or Leela is unbroken spiritual bliss. Okay, so remember I told you, suppose somebody is going to heaven and then looking at just sitting in front of the God or whatever you are talking about, after some time you will get bored. You will run away. It's a Leela. Leela has to be there that only Krishna can do. Not any other God. No, he cannot do the Leela. They are sleeping or doing this, something, once in a while they do something, whatever. Only Krishna is Leela. Leela Purushottama. But then, the natural question comes. Yes, Radha Krishna, Leelas are the topmost. That's what I was talking about. And these Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost abode with so many wonderful Leelas. Now the question comes, next question is coming. Then why we are not able to be there in the Leela? What are the obstacles to the attainment of Sri Krishna's pastimes or Leela? This is very important. I have a feeling, okay, now it is 11:35. Yes, so this will go more into detail. If I touch it, I need another 20 minutes or something. So what we will do is, Okay, so it's already more than 1 hour anyway. Yes, so we will follow from this particular one.